All right. Down to our final two for the show. We got number 82 with 80 points. Switchblade Jay White. And I know that uh, Mongoose, he's the one that got me introduced to Jay White. I remember seeing Jay on a New Japan show, and I can't remember which one it was. I believe it was one of the Wrestle Kingdoms when he came out in that all white gear for the first time. I remember that Triggy hated him, did not want to see him, and that was the weirdest thing ever because the dude was awesome. He got insanely ripped, got into insane shape after that, and he has been in it ever since. Became the leader of Bullet Club eventually. Very decorated in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Has been in ROH a couple times, and he also is now in AEW and in a great role with Bullet Club Gold. I mean, that group with him, Juice Robinson, and the Guns is so good. It's so great. And I really, the stuff that Jay White has done, I'm surprised that he's a little bit lower on our list. But the dude is awesome. And what do you got for him, Mongoose?
So my Jay White introduction came at it was Kenny Omega, because at that time mostly everything that I was consuming New Japan wise was Kenny Omega centric, because it was off of the heels of the first Okada match, and then the second Okada match. I guess that would have been in Dominion, so it would have been after that. Um, and this would have been whenever he called to the ring, Switchblade,
Yeah.
Switchblade, and Jay came down and they offered him a Bullet Club shirt, and Jay gave him the double birds because he was a Chaos member at that time, and all that ended up doing was Kenny versus Jay White. Kenny put Jay White over, and I mean, at that time, Kenny was on his ascension to, be the top guy in New Japan. And so him putting Jay White over literally was putting Jay White over, because they don't book there for the way that like the Hurricane beat the Rock, right? Where the Hurricane beat the Rock, but
Hey, he should be on our
it,
list. I'm sad that the Hurricane's not.
but it's not like he really beat the Rock. This and helped that, and from there, he had the turn on Okada in Chaos, joined Bullet Club. And my thing with Jay White was, at first, I didn't like him at all as a heel, just because he was a very psychological worker.
Yes.
His matches were always going to be 30, 35 minutes. They were going to be slow. He was going to take powders multiple times throughout. All these little things to get heat, scream at the crowd.
Yeah.
And at first, with me either. Like I was at that, I was at the Ring of Honor New Japan show with cousin Trey. And both of us were just like, oh, Jay White, because we saw Okada beat him. It was an incredible match because it was an Okada match. But it was when he really, really sort of doubled down on himself. And that was when you said about him getting really ripped up, and him growing the beard was the difference. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. The clean shaven Jay White versus bearded Jay White are like two different eras completely. The second heel shape, right, where I'm this rude kind of athlete I am, and blah blah blah. It was incredible, man. This dude's matches are always top notch. The fact that he came to AEW, I thought that, we talked on this show about where's he going to go, and I thought that he would have been a great fit in WWE because of that slower style. However, the role that he's in with the company that he's in, as long as the company's, as long as the captain can steer the ship right, the fact that we still have all of these partnerships and things open up with the possibilities of him interacting again with New Japan people, as well as with your, Omegas, your MJFs, of course, and then keeping the door open for Okada. We still have Danielson. There's a lot of people that this guy can wrestle and have 5-star matches with. I think he's in over. Like, the Guns are another one of these things where we talk about AEW, like, what are they doing? There's a lot of good, and one of the goods is whoever's idea was, if it was TK's or if it was the guys, to say, let's put Juice with Jay and put the Guns with them. Whoever's idea, I applaud Tony for it, because these guys are gold. The fact that the Guns come out here with a Jay White cutout at every match, even 4 Jay White matches, when they all came out on tricycles, like big wheel tricycles, riding to the ring for Jay White's match with a Jay White cutout. Like, dude, I live for these things. And so, yes, Jay White is awesome. As far as current active wrestlers, he's top 10. And that's why I needed him on my list. And I am so happy that we were able to talk about him on the top 100, because I think that if we did this revision 15 years from now, I think that instead of the 80s, he's a top 40 guy, as long as he doesn't let go of the rope. Things go well and everything. Match quality's too good, character's too good. I think that he is going to be a tippity top guy.
So Jay White is one that I have a little bit more familiarity with. I have watched some of the more modern NJPW stuff, and I saw a bit of his earlier stuff before Excursion, and then coming back, and a little bit of his work with Bullet Club and being a top guy there, and now over here in AEW, where he's been currently placed in a pretty high position. And he just feels like the kind of guy that is really an all-around kind of top tier performer. He does everything well. I don't necessarily know that he does one thing spectacularly, at least in my assessment of him so far. He's very good in the ring, very smooth in the ring. He's very good on the mic. So you can find someone who maybe does one thing better, but I don't know that a lot of people do it all better than him. You know what I mean? And at a relatively young age, that's kind of hard to beat. So I think right now we have him at an 82, but by the time he's done, whether that's staying with AEW, hopefully he does, or moves on to somewhere else after, goes back to Japan, goes to WWE, whatever. I think right now he's done a lot of really good stuff as far as his body of work in New Japan. But it feels like the sky's pretty much the limit on him as far as where he can go going forward.
Yeah, I think he's actually, from my standpoint, I think he's a little high for where we have him on the list, just based on accomplishments. I think he's a 90s guy right now, but I completely agree with you, man. Like, we look at this 10 years from now, even 5 years from now, he could be a top 40 guy. There's no question about it. But I do think that he's in the right spot in AEW. I don't think it would have been smart for him to go to WWE, because on their weekly shows, they kind of just throw people out there to do sometimes 4-minute matches. And with his style is better acclimated for AEW, where he can go out there and have as much time as he needs and do his thing, because it is a slow-paced match build up with him, and that's generally not something that I'm too interested in. But with him, I am, and he's a top 5 guy for me, man, in the world. Right now, you talk about current people in the world. I mean, for me, he's a top 5 guy. There's no doubt about it. My favorite match of his, Wrestle Kingdom 17, 2000. It was the Okada match.
Yeah,
the Okada match with him is just unbelievable. That's one to go out of your way to check out.
Yeah, that one's really good. In some other career notes here, he is the first ever New Japan Pro Wrestling Grand Slam champion and he's the 5th Triple Crown champion. So he was a world heavyweight champion. He was a the world heavyweight champion, heavyweight championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the Never Openweight Championship, and the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. So one of the few that have done that. So I mean, whenever you get the call to do that, like, like you're a special talent.